Thursday promises to be the biggest party in Toledo as we welcome in Mike Robinson from the Rocket Radio Network. Mike, Rob, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark.
Are you ready for that Thursday night party?
Look, you know what? So much going on Thursday. You got high school football kicking off in Michigan with Whiteford and these guys. I definitely want to see them guys get going. But you know what? Here in the Glass City, Toledo Rockets taking on Duquesne is definitely going to be the biggest party in this city.
Let's talk about the difference between this year's Rocket team and last year as Toledo lost some key guys to the transfer portal. You've got Tucker Gleason ready to start in as quarterback. And if you haven't seen Tucker Gleason in a couple of years, he is a big quarterback, and he's also mobile.
Yeah, you know, and having him out there during the bowl game, I think people got an opportunity to see him scrambling around. Obviously not for some of the best reasons, but his mobility is there. People didn't know how quick he was, but his physicality mixed with that, he is very durable and rugged, and I expect to see Coach Kendall maybe open it up and allow him to run the ball a little bit more because he's a lot bigger than what the former quarterback was.
And with the weapons he has at tight end and in the backfield and at receivers, we could perhaps see some run-pass options, some RPO stuff with him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's kind of one of Jason Candle's staples, you know, motioning the running back out the backfield, you know, creating space and creating mismatches. And this football team has so many mismatches with speed on the outside, skill on the inside, and obviously at the quarterback spot and the running back spot, you got some options there as well. But offensive line-wise, everybody is really concerned about what's happening up front. But when you got so many pieces on the outside, it's just get the ball to your playmakers and let them dominate.
Jerwan Newton is back. Anthony Torres is back. Jacquez Stewart is back.
Vander Ross.
But as you hinted at, the offensive line, you're replacing all 5 starters from a season ago.
You know what, and it seems like one of the craziest things that can happen to a football team, but you know what, it's pretty much normal. You know, it's the next man up mantra. You know, you want to find out who's up. You recruit all these guys. You bring in all these transfers. They're expected to play, and they're expecting their opportunity to get on the field. So these aren't just guys who just, you know, you pick up off the street that haven't been in the program. Some of them are transfer players who've come in. Obviously, none of them have any career starts, but that doesn't mean that they're going to have a bad start on this first week 1 because they should be juiced up with all the experience around them. And Coach Mike Hallett has done an excellent job of coaching and mentoring these offensive linemen in this program since he's gotten here, and I don't expect it to change.
Let's talk a little bit about defense. Darius Alexander's back on that defensive line. He's perhaps that next big stud defensive lineman for the Rockets.
You know what? He is athletic and mobile. I feel like we can just say this about the whole Rockets football team. And having Darius Alexander back is key because for a while, I feel like a lot of people in Rocket Nation didn't know if he was going to leave, if he was going to hit the portal, or even go to the draft early because he is definitely getting looked at as a potential draft prospect. But having him on that defensive line, him and Butler up front, you know, being able to combine, you know, and make plays and make stops in the backfield, I think that is key for Toledo because when they get pressure on the quarterback, I feel like that's when they play their best because they have a really good second line behind them with the linebackers and even better with the secondary.
A year ago, Quinyon Mitchell made the decision to return to Toledo, ended up being a first-round draft pick by the Philadelphia Eagles. That leaves a hole in the secondary, but you got some talented guys back in that secondary, and those guys were tested quite a bit last year because teams were throwing away from Quinyon.
Yeah, and people have tried him too. They want to try Quinyon, but you learn quick. You know, don't throw the ball his way or run his way. He tackled really well in space, and that's one of the best things about this Toledo defense is they got so many guys that have sat back and watched Womack. They've had to watch the rest of these guys, you know, Quinyon Mitchell, and all these guys in front of them have these opportunities to play at a high level in the MAC. They think they can do the exact same thing. So now when you think, you know, Toledo hasn't gotten any better, you still look back there in the secondary and you look and see number 25 is still out there floating around, Max and Hook, one of the best safeties in the country. And then you got EMW back there as well. And then also Avery Smith, he's another dominant guy. And Braden Alls. So it's so many guys that float in and out of this defense. And in that secondary, you got a few transfers. We'll see where they fit into the mix. This team is probably better defensively than they were last year, in my opinion.
We haven't talked a whole lot about the opponents. The Duquesne Dukes, a FCS team, a pretty good FCS team, but is the talent gap that great between the Rockets and the Dukes?
You know, it's college football and experience matters, you know, but when you talk about playing football for 15 minutes, 4 times over a course of a hot day and you're out on the road and that's the biggest party in Toledo, it's going to be tough because the Glass Bowl is going to be a rocking environment. This place is going to have your adrenaline going. And if you're on the road, you know, and for Duquesne, you know, they've only home opened or played against Division I teams 10 times. You know, they played 2 teams this year. And so coming into the Glass Bowl, a lot of these guys have not played in this kind of environment, in this atmosphere. We'll see if they can adjust. But this is no team to sleep on. They've made the playoffs. They are looked at to be able to win their conference. And one thing also matters is coaching. They've had a head coach that's been in place for nearly 2 decades and plus. So when you have someone that understands the game of football, there are nuances of the game that you don't want to fall asleep on. So it's not necessarily the Rockets worried about losing to this team. It's letting this team hang around and letting us be competitive.
Rockets have only lost to an FCS team twice, both of those losses coming to McNeese State. It's the home opener. And Mike, Rob, when was the last time they lost a home opener?
You know what? It's been a while. I think it was in 2009 versus Purdue, and it was a doozy. But I don't expect to see that at all this time around.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike Robinson from the Rocket Radio Network.